Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here, and the helper. So today is March 26th, I think. It's Thursday. And the governor of Alabama, Kay Ivey, who sounds just like Foghorn Leghorn. I love it. Anytime she gives a press conference or a speech, I just love listening to it. So, I digress. So, kids, they announced today that kids are not going to go back to school through the remainder of the school year. Yeah, that's exciting for her. Not so much for all the parents that now have to try to teach their children in lieu of the teachers, right? So now it's going to be Daddy Elementary School, right? Yeah. But since that's the case, we got to put her to work somehow. And so
You'll never get me to do it.
Whatever. So here's what we have her doing. This is some 300 blackout brass.
I'm cleaning it.
Yep, cleaning it up. So I've already resized this stuff, deprimed it. And let's see. I did the chamfer and deburr and the brush on the case mouth, but the issue was the small primer pocket cleaner right there. I mean, it's kind of a pretty snug fit, and there's just not a lot of brass to hold on to with these guys, and so it was taking a little bit more force to have to hold it on there, and the primer pockets were they felt kind of snug, and so it just wasn't cleaning them really well, and it was being more of a pain than anything. So this is where the helper steps in, and she is cleaning out primer pockets, earning her keep, since she doesn't.
Hey, I get money paid for this.
We didn't discuss terms of payment yet, so
Please, it'll be on my chores list.
Okay, on your chores list, got it. So that's the update there. We've got some 300 blackout. I've never loaded for 300 blackout. It's something I've wanted to do. I've got a ton of brass sitting around from when I bought all the reloading stuff off that guy a while back. He had who knows how many pieces of 300 blackout brass, and I'm just now getting around to actually processing some of the brass, because I'm going to load some subsonic loads using these guys. Some Lapua, some 220 grain, open tip match CNR. So I'm going to load some subsonic shooting those guys. I picked those up for like 20 bucks off a guy on Arms List. So that'll be the subsonic load workup. Oh, I'm getting distracted. Right now I'm loading some 308, and we're loading up these guys, some Spear Gold Dot, the 168 grain. This is going to be for the FN AR. Okay, so Fabrique Nationale, however you want to pronounce it, whatever. FN, those guys. I was able to pick up an FN AR. Had no idea what that even was. Had to go look it up. It's pretty cool. Pretty neat setup. And so I'll post an initial video of that after this video, but I'm going to point out an error in judgment on my part on the way I have that rifle set up, and I have since remedied that. So I loaded, I had some 150 grain Spear Gold Dots, a box of those, and I loaded those up, box of 50, and took them out to the range and tested them in that FN, and they didn't do that great. They did tighten up, now 43.1, and I'm working down. I don't know, it sounds really weird, but I'm working backwards. I started with the max, and I'm working backwards just because I was too lazy to determine my starting charge when I go down 0.2 of a grain. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll just start. I know I'm going to work up to the max, which according to the Spear manual for this bullet, it's 43.9 grains of Hodgdon Varget, which is what we're using. That's the max, so that's the max load there, and then I can just work backwards 2/10 of a grain each time, dropping 2/10. I could have just as easily, done it in my head. Hey, that's where I'm going to be starting, and start from there and work up. But whatever, either way, to each his own. So I loaded some 150s, took them out to the range. You'll see in the video the particular setup that I have. For that FN, I have a Primary Arms prism, the 3x prism optic on there, which I love, by the way. That Primary Arms, I mean, they make some really good stuff for budget. I mean, they make some good high end, sort of more high end optics. If you really want to pay, fork over some cash, they make some pretty expensive optics as well. But their budget stuff, what I would consider budget stuff, is pretty impressive. What the feature set that's packed into those, the reticle designs and everything. So, but I have I've got the 3-power or 3x prism optic. I put it on there. I like the fact that I liked how that optic pairs with the 308 with that FM, because it's got a 16-inch barrel, so it's a really short barreled 308, so extremely compact and easy to maneuver around. If you're looking for a boogaloo gun, I mean, it's a 20 round detachable mag kind of deal. So 20 rounds of 308, versus 30 rounds of 5.56. Yeah, probably take 20 rounds of 308. That's going to be punching some stuff pretty hard over the 5.56. But I'll let y'all debate that down in the comments. But yeah, so it pairs really nicely. That optic pairs really nicely. Now, when it doesn't come in handy is when you're trying to determine how well your groups, how well your loads perform, and you're using a 3-power, 3x prism optic at 100 yards, okay? Now, the groups were, I won't say disappointing. They were disappointing, but it was my fault, because now I have since corrected the issue. What I thought was part of the issue was having that optic on there and then trying to go and shoot groups to figure out what load to go with. What I should have done was put a halfway decent variable optic on there to begin with. And then by doing that, I can really dial in, hey, here's a load that shoots really well out of this rifle. Then if I want to switch over to the Primary Arms, 3x prism optic, then I can do it. So it's something that you would think that I would know by now. Huh?
I'm done.
You done? You finished? Okay, I'll have to do an inspection job on it and make sure you cleaned everything up to our standards.
I hate this one. It used to be so dirty.
Whoa, that's like super clean. Check that out. Look at that. Good job. Good job. Yeah, we might have to put you on payroll. So you would think that by now, with as many firearms as I've loaded for, and I mean, just as long as I've been doing this, which again is only about 4 years, so not extremely long, but I've been doing it long enough to where we just had an overcharge here. About 2/10. Do what?
Can I help you with that?
Yes, hold on 2 seconds. You would think that, again, I would know, hey, do it that way first. Set it up with a variable power optic, something that has pretty good magnification on it, so you can actually, dial everything in at 100 yards, which is what I shoot when I go to the shooting range. Test my groups at 100, make sure everything's performing as it should be. Then I can switch over to that prism optic and adjust accordingly, knowing that the group performance is there, even if it doesn't show once I switch over to that optic. If my groups still aren't as tight, which I wouldn't expect them to be just because of the nature of the optic. But Yeah, I should have known. I should have known that from the start. But again, I didn't. Hold on. You have to wait and let it. There you go. Okay, now you can get it off there. But you got to be careful. Okay, when you pull it off. See what you got to be careful about. All right, so you pull it off and you see that little grain right there. Yes. Okay, can you knock it off of there? Don't put it in there. Knock it off to the side. Booyah. So what you got to be careful about is when you take this pan off, you don't hit the spout, because it might knock a grain or two of gunpowder, yeah, in there, and then that'll mess up your weight.
Can you take it out and I pour it in there?
That sounds like
I pour it in there better.
You pour it in better. Okay, then let's do that. Let's trade. But that's just something that, you know, maybe I can pass along, that piece of wisdom there, and it's a no-brainer. Once you hear me say it, or once you think of it, it's one of those deals where it's like, man, I knew better than that, but I wasted 50 rounds. In my opinion, I wasted, because I don't know the true performance of that 150 grain, the loads that I worked up because I was using that optic. So I don't know the true performance of that. So it didn't really give me a good baseline. But that was the only box of those that I have, that I had. I've got 2 boxes of the 168s. So we're going to load up 50 with some Varget, and then that way, if we find a good area to focus on, I can come back, load up more, or just stick with a load that performed well off the first 50 and roll with it and load up 50 and call it good, right? So simple as that. But that's it. We're using the RCBS Gold Medal Match, seating die, all that jazz. But that's it. We're going to get out of here for now. I hope you guys stay safe, stay healthy. Just, yeah, you know, do your best, stay healthy out there, guys. Yeah, deer skull. All right, y'all have a good one, man. We'll catch y'all next time.